a deep dive into the 48 Laws of Power, a book written by Robert Greene that presents a collection of principles for gaining and maintaining power in social and political situations. Let's take a look at each of these laws in turn. Law 1: Never outshine the master. This law advises that it is important to always be mindful of your place in the hierarchy and to avoid drawing too much attention to yourself, especially if it means outshining those above you. Law 2: Never put too much trust in friends. This law advises caution when it comes to relying on others, as friends can be fickle and untrustworthy. Law 3: Conceal your intentions. This law advises that it is important to keep your plans and motivations hidden from others, as this can give you an advantage in negotiations and power struggles. Law 4: Always say less than necessary. This law advises that it is important to be sparing with your words and to let your actions speak for themselves. Law 5: So much depends on reputation. This law advises that your reputation is a valuable asset that should be carefully cultivated and protected. Law 6: Court attention at all costs. This law advises that it is important to seek out attention and to be seen as influential and important. Law 7: Get others to do the work for you. This law advises that it is often more effective to delegate tasks and responsibilities to others rather than doing everything yourself. Law 8: Make other people come to you. This law advises that it is important to create an aura of exclusivity and to make others feel like they are privileged to be in your presence. Law 9: Win through your actions, not your words. This law advises that it is important to let your actions speak for themselves and to avoid making empty promises or empty threats. Law 10: Infection, avoid the unhappy and unlucky. This law advises that it is important to avoid negative influences and to surround yourself with positive and successful people. Law 11: Learn to keep people dependent on you. This law advises that it is important to create dependency in others and to be the person that others rely on. Law 12: Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. This law advises that it is often effective to be honest and generous in certain situations in order to disarm and manipulate others. Law 13: When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude. This law advises that it is important to appeal to others' self-interest when asking for help, rather than relying on their mercy or gratitude. Law 14: Pose as a friend, work as a spy. This law advises that it can be useful to pretend to be a friend in order to gather information and gain an advantage. Law 15: Crush your enemy totally. This law advises that it is important to completely defeat your enemies and to leave no room for them to recover. Law 16: Use absence to increase respect and honor. This law advises that it can be effective to be unavailable or hard to reach in order to create an air of mystery and to increase your prestige. Law 17: Keep others in suspended terror. This law advises that it is often effective to keep others in a state of uncertainty and fear in order to maintain control. Law 18: Cultivate an air of unpredictability. This law advises that it is important to keep others guessing and to avoid being predictable in order to maintain an advantage. Law 19: Do not build fortresses to protect yourself. Law 20: Know who you're dealing with. This law advises that it is important to thoroughly research and understand the people you are dealing with in order to gain an advantage. Law 21: Play a sucker to catch a sucker. This law advises that it can be effective to pretend to be naive or gullible in order to manipulate others. Law 22: Use the surrender tactic. This law advises that it is often effective to appear to give in or surrender in order to gain the upper hand. Law 23: Convert defeat into victory. This law advises that it is important to turn setbacks into opportunities and to find ways to come out on top even when things are not going your way. Law 24: Claim credit for others' work as your own. This law advises that it is important to take credit for the successes of others in order to advance your own position. Law 25: Use the situation to your advantage. This law advises that it is important to be flexible and to adapt to changing circumstances in order to gain an advantage. Law 26: Get others to play with the cards you deal. This law advises that it is important to control the terms of engagement and to set the rules in your favor. Law 27: See what no one else sees. This law advises that it is important to be perceptive and to see opportunities that others may overlook. Law 28: Never allow your victim to know what you are thinking. This law advises that it is important to keep your thoughts and intentions hidden from others in order to maintain an advantage. Law 29, make your accomplishments seem effortless. This law advises that it is important to downplay your achievements and to make them seem effortless in order to increase your prestige. Law 30, control the options, get others to play with the cards you deal. This law advises that it is important to control the options and to present others with limited choices that favor you. Law 31, play to people's fantasies. This law advises that it is often effective to appeal to people's dreams and desires in order to gain their support. Law 32, discover each man's thumbscrew. This law advises that it is important to identify and exploit the vulnerabilities of others in order to gain an advantage. Law 33, be royal in your own fashion. This law advises that it is important to cultivate an air of exclusivity and superiority in order to gain respect and honor. Law 34, master the art of timing. This law advises that it is important to be aware of timing and to act at the right moment in order to gain an advantage. Law 35, disdain things you cannot have. This law advises that it is important to cultivate an air of detachment and to avoid appearing too eager or desperate for things you cannot have. Law 36, create compelling spectacles. This law advises that it is important to create attention-getting displays in order to draw others to you. Law 37, think as you like, but behave like others. This law advises that it is often necessary to conform to the expectations of others in order to advance your own interests. Law 38, stir up water to catch fish. This law advises that it is often effective to create chaos and confusion in order to exploit opportunities. Law 39, despise the free lunch. This law advises that it is important to avoid relying on free favors or handouts and to be self-sufficient. Law 40, avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. This law advises that it is important to avoid taking on roles or responsibilities that are too large or daunting. Law 41, play a role to deceive the public. This law advises that it is often necessary to present a false image or persona in order to deceive others. Law 42, disappear to protect your position. This law advises that it can be effective to temporarily retreat or withdraw in order to protect your position. Law 43, emerge when it is most advantageous. This law advises that it is important to carefully choose when to reveal yourself and to act at the right moment in order to gain an advantage. Law 44, use the passing of time to your advantage. This law advises that it is important to be aware of the passage of time and to use it to your advantage. Law 45, do not commit to anyone. This law advises that it is important to avoid making commitments or promises that could limit your options. Law 46, never go against the grain. This law advises that it is important to avoid going against the norms or expectations of your group or society. Law 47, never appear too perfect. This law advises that it is important to avoid appearing too perfect or flawless, as this can make you appear unapproachable or untrustworthy. Law 48, do not waste time on the unworthy. This law advises that it is important to be selective with your time and to avoid wasting it on those who are not worthy of your attention. And those are the 48 laws of power. It is worth noting that this book has received criticism for presenting an amoral and Machiavellian view of power and for promoting unethical behavior. The book is not meant to be taken as a guide for ethical conduct, and readers should be aware of this when considering the advice presented in it.